Wouldn't you figure 2017 has brought me some of my favorite movie-going experiences of all time. Wow. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Men vs. Movies. I'm Griffin, as always, and today I'm going to be giving you my review for one of my most anticipated films of the year and the long-awaited sequel to one of the best sci-fi films ever made, arguably the best if you ask some people. I'm talking about Blade Runner 2049. So Blade Runner 2049 is directed by the visionary filmmaker Denis Villeneuve, and it's starring Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Jared Leto, Robin Wright, and Dave Bautista. Now, normally when I do a review, I would go in and tell you about the plot, but the trailers and promotional material for this film have been very quiet on what exactly the story is. So I'm not going to tell you the plot. All I'm going to say is that Ryan Gosling plays a Blade Runner called K, and he starts digging into something, and as he starts pulling on this string, it starts to unravel, and this giant mystery starts to unfold before him. That is essentially the most I can give you, because you should go into this film as blind as possible. Completely enhances the experience. Now, if you've checked out my review for the original Blade Runner, you can find that somewhere around here. You'll know that I absolutely love that film. I think it's one of the best sci-fi films ever made, and it's probably in my top 10 for the best films of all time. And with Blade Runner 2049, I can honestly say that it is at least on par with the original, if not better. Blade Runner 2049 is astounding. It is a sci-fi masterpiece, and it is going to change the game much like the original one did for sci-fi cinema to come. So let's dive into this thing and talk about it. The biggest positive with this movie is Denis Villeneuve. This man is incredible. We are truly honored to live in a time where this man is making films. He is arguably the best director working in Hollywood today, and watching him make these movies is just watching an artist create magnificent work. It is unbelievable. Villeneuve really has a knack for storytelling, visual style, and making downright compelling and technically perfect films. Now, for a while now, I've known that Denis Villeneuve is a master at his craft, but with Blade Runner 2049, it just solidifies his place among the greats. We are living during the time of a legendary filmmaker right now. And the thing that I like most about how he approached the sequel to Blade Runner is that he wanted to make it its own movie. First and foremost, it is its own story. It has its own narrative, it concludes at the end, and it is a pretty self-contained story. And once that's done well, then he brings in the sequel elements to the original Blade Runner, because yes, it is a sequel, but it can stand on its own as well. And the way those two elements converge are masterfully done. The next thing that I have to commend Villeneuve on, and really the crew of this film, is just all of the technical aspects. Technically speaking, this movie is flawless. I have never seen a more perfectly executed movie as far as technical terms go. The cinematography from Roger Deakins is arguably his best to date. I was floored by how well some of these shots look. He just has a way for framing things and showcasing things and lighting these scenes that just entrances you. It draws you in, and you are sucked into this vast cyberpunk world that Ridley Scott originally created. If Deakins does not win Best Cinematography at the Oscars, there is seriously something wrong with the world, because this is his best work to date. Now, aside from the cinematography, the set design, the costumes, the CGI, everything is immaculate in this movie. Villeneuve has crafted a real feeling, lived in sci-fi world. And the best thing I can say about it is that it's something that feels tangible. And on top of that, the slow, methodical editing and pacing of this movie fits the Blade Runner aesthetic perfectly. I was a little worried that maybe going into this, they were going to try and make it an action-packed blockbuster sequel. And I'm happy to say that Villeneuve had enough respect for the original film to not do that. This is very much a noir Blade Runner mystery sci-fi film, which is what Blade Runner is, and exactly what you could ask for from the sequel. All right, let's talk performances, because we have incredible performances in this movie. Ryan Gosling, I swear to God, can do no wrong. This man he is becoming one of my favorite actors in Hollywood right now. He's probably in my top 2. It's like Leo and then Gosling. And in this movie, much like what Ford did in the original Blade Runner, he gives a very subdued performance. Yet I would argue his arc is almost more emotional than Ford's in the original Blade Runner. He's dealing with self self-identity issues. He's trying to figure out his place in the world, soul-searching, much like what Deckard did in the original one. And I think by the time we get to the end of the movie, Gosling's arc is so powerful, and the way it concluded was beyond perfect. Ryan Gosling has a serious knack for playing these very subdued yet complex characters. I mean, just look at his work in Drive. This is probably one of the best performances I've seen from him, honest. Next person I gotta commend here is Harrison Ford, because, you know, in his old age, Harrison Ford seems to be giving the same kind of performances in everything he shows up in. But I have to say, with this one, I was blown away by how good he was. This is one of his best performances in recent memory. There are several scenes where Ford really breaks down and gets emotional due to what's going on throughout his arc. And I have to say, the way that they carry on Deckard's arc in this movie is very emotional, very powerful. You're probably going to feel something by the end of this film, and Ford is once again conveying those emotions flawlessly. There's one scene in particular where he's talking with Jared Leto's character, and I'm not going to say anything other than it's probably one of the best scenes in the entire movie. It was riveting. Speaking of Jared Leto, let's talk about him, because I have to say, I really enjoyed Jared Leto in this movie. Kind of had a god complex, very arrogant, very philosophical in the way he spoke about things. And I have to say, the scenes where he shows up and he goes on monologuing about certain things are some of the more intriguing ones in the movie. I think that Jared Leto gets a lot of flack for being pretentious about how he approaches the roles, and I am even one of the critics who say, all right, man, come on. But I have to say, for his role in Blade Runner 2049, he pulls it off, and with his limited screen time, he makes an impression on you. So obviously there's a lot more characters than those three, but those are the big standouts to me. Robin Wright is terrific. Dave Bautista does great with the limited amount of screen time that he has. All of the performances just work. And like I said, I'm not going to dive into the story too much, but what I will say about it is that it's incredibly emotional, incredibly powerful. It stands on its own, yet it's able to serve as a sequel to the original Blade Runner, and fans of the original are going to be more than happy with this. They're going to be incredibly satisfied. Honestly, I don't have any negatives with this film. I was just left stunned, speechless, and incredibly impressed with Denis Villeneuve's work. This is going to be a film that inspires many people, that breaks new ground, much like the original Blade Runner did. It is going to be a film for the ages. I can already see it. And you can bet your ass that it's going to be nominated for all the major categories come Oscar time. I can't stress this enough. Go see Blade Runner 2049. See it on the largest screen you possibly can. I saw it in the Dolby Cinema. That is what I would recommend. So if you have one near you, go see it. And of course, it comes as no surprise, but with all of that said, I am going to be giving Blade Runner 2049 100% supercharged. Thanks guys for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed my review of Blade Runner 2049. It is such a masterpiece to behold. Leave me your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below, and while you're down there, be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more movie reviews, movie-related content, and that's it. Okay. And then also be sure to like Men vs. Movies on Facebook and follow us on Twitter simply by searching Men v Movies. And lastly, guys, if you like me specifically and you like what I have to say, you can always give me a follow on Twitter at Griff Schiller. All right. That'll do it for this review, guys. Until next time, take care.